Red Dead Redemption 2 Online is only going to get worse before it gets better. So I was in the middle of making a much longer, fully fleshed out type of Red Dead video, the kind you would normally see in my longer scripted, highly edited videos. And I got about halfway through that, and all of a sudden Rockstar comes out and says a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of good, and some of it doesn't seem so great, but it should be in the long run. The problem is what all of this means underneath all of that. So that original video was going to be about the problems that Red Dead Online has seen that I hadn't quite talked about yet. I mentioned it in a previous video, which was that Red Dead Online is not everything it should be right now. Of course, it's a beta, but there's problems with the beta that aren't exactly beta things. There are problems that are there by design that I don't think Rockstar quite realized people would catch on to so quickly. So let's take a look at Rockstar's in-game economy with Red Dead Redemption 2. The reason I want to do this in particular, and instead of doing it in a longer form video, is that this is really one specific topic that really needs to be dived into deeply by itself. So, Red Dead Redemption Online 2, or Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, whatever you want to call it, is not exactly the tight, concisely put together online mode that you'd want it to be. In single player, for some people it was hard, so for some people it was easy, but getting money wasn't always particularly effortless. It took a while, and a lot of things were extremely overpriced, and that was probably by design. They wanted to string you along like any single player open world game does, so that you can eventually get the things that you really, really want. The problem with online is those things were so far out of reach that it didn't even make sense to engage in half of the activities because they weren't worth it. Online is packed with things to do. It's packed with deathmatch type of situations, it's packed with all of these multiplayer functions, a gun game like mode that Call of Duty has. It's packed with all sorts of story and narrative missions that you can work your way through, but none of them particularly matter when none of them reward you. Here's the thing about GTA Online that Red Dead Redemption 2 Online shares, and that's that both of these games thrive off of their in-game economy. That's the only point of playing the game. The only point of playing Red Dead Online Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, and GTA 5 Online is to get richer. That's the point of these games. Essentially, that's the world that Rockstar has built these online experiences. You don't hop into them looking for that narrative experience. Now, Red Dead has a narrative experience, and I spoke about it in a previous video. There's a story there, and there's a lot of interesting characters and great voice acting, and there's a lot of fun things to do in that story. I remember in particular one mission where I was following around what seemed like a wilderness explorer, going and hunting down a camp. That was awesome. He was a cool character, it was fun to play. At the end of it, watching him throw a head to the side, it was wonderful. However, at the end of it, I kind of looked around and said, well, how did this help me? A narrative only carries an online game so far. You can only play it for so long until, well, you've worked your way through everything. And even if Rockstar continues to add on and add on and add on, they're only going to do so incrementally, like GTA 5. So eventually you're going to be looking around going, I played everything there is to offer. What is there? Well, in GTA 5, that's building yourself up to be one of the greatest in the world. But penthouse mafia type situation. You want to be as rich as possible and have the coolest place and the coolest cars and essentially have access to things that other players don't have access to. Red Dead, a little bit different. You're not building a penthouse. You're not building up your camp to be this monolithic thing that everybody stares at and says, oh my God. You're building it up to be something for you. But the problem is that almost everything in Red Dead requires a lot of money, or at least it did for the most part. Guns, even tomahawks, everything cost a bunch of cash. At the end of a game, in the multiplayer modes that were more confined, Team Deathmatch, all of those things required you to pay for ammo. You literally had to pay for the ammo that you were spending in these multiplayer modes. Even worse, you were paying for things like fast travel, which isn't a big deal, except when you pay $15 to get all the way across the map. Well, $15 isn't chump change in Red Dead, and then you log off, you don't even do what you were going to do, and you just wasted that $15 of in-game currency. So, Red Dead and Rockstar have responded to these criticisms. Kind of. They've made things, or are going to make things, are taking active steps to make things cheaper. And not only that, but they're going to make things cheaper and reward players that kind of spent too much money to begin with by refunding some of that in-game currency that they spent on these items. That's great. Essentially, the way it'll work is the economy will be balanced out, things will cost less, but more importantly, you'll be rewarded for the things that you're doing within the game a little bit less incrementally and a little bit more substantially. So with things like story missions, apparently those things will pay out more. Team Deathmatch, the gun game mode, the Battle Royale mode or pseudo Battle Royale mode, All of these things will be more rewarding, so you're encouraged to engage with everything equally. You're not encouraged to do something that you don't want to do just to earn money or XP or whatever it may be. That's all wonderful. And that brings me to two things, and the reason this video is getting made, and the reason I didn't want to make it into some giant, highly edited thing, which is there are two things going on here that are really bad for gaming and really good for gaming. The first thing is the really good thing. Rockstar is responding appropriately and quickly to fan backlash. It's not like they pulled an EA and said, don't buy this game. That's not the kind of backlash you're seeing here. This is truly in-game fixable backlash. These are things that are important to address and aren't things that turn off most players. I'm sure it's already turned off some, but the point is that Rockstar is doing what's right, which sounds shocking for a AAA dev at this point, but they're not only fixing things, but they're rewarding the people that hopped in day one. They're not saying, hey, all you people that hopped in day one and spent all this money, you're screwed. They're saying, here's some of that money back. We saw something similar with Bethesda, who only did it for fan outcry reasons, but they at least rewarded the people that spent $200 on their collector's edition with a new kind of bag that's much better quality. I don't know if that kind of fixes the problem, but at least it's some sort of positive response. And these are good things. These are the important things, and that's great. It shows one thing. It shows that developers are listening, and that Rockstar will listen, even if it doesn't quite make them more money. Hell, they're giving out 15 gold bars in response as well, and in-game currency. These are ways to respond to backlash. It's a message to EA and Bethesda. This is what you need to do to fix things and fix things easily. Now, here's where we get to the bad. The bad is, we don't know what this means for the future, but we do know that this is what Red Dead Online is. That's essentially confirmed now. Red Dead Online is going to be a microtransaction-filled chase for more microtransactions. And we know this because if the response is to give people more currency, it's because they're probably going to need it. And that's a shame, because what GTA Online missed is being something truly special. I played a ton of GTA Online, I'm sure all of you did as well. It was just kind of a place where people griefed and hung out with friends until they got griefed and did a few missions until they got griefed. That's really what GTA Online was. It wasn't anything interesting. It wasn't the potential, the met potential that it could have been. And Red Dead Online just isn't going to be either. It takes a little bit too much of what was not so great about Red Dead and throws it in there, and on top of that throws in all the things nobody wanted. There are things that probably aren't going to get fixed. Look, I don't think Rockstar can go back and fix the fact that the animations and movement just aren't great. I played much more Red Dead, and it's become more of a problem as I've played it. It's too slow, it's too wonky, and it stays the same in multiplayer. Shooting still isn't great. It still takes a lot of getting used to. These are things that aren't going to change with Red Dead Online. And what's also not going to change is these premium currencies are not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. What Red Dead Online can't be is something that we can actually help stop, though. What Red Dead Online cannot be is what GTA Online became. And you can actually help it not be that way. And I don't want this to be a call to action necessarily, because you should do whatever you want, right? I'm just a guy that talks about games on YouTube. But the reason GTA Online became this cesspool of nonsense is because so many people gave it a pass. It's GTA, it's Rockstar, it's so they have microtransactions, no big deal. Look how high quality the rest of the game is. It doesn't matter. Look what they gave us in single player. It doesn't matter, right? That's the problem. That's what allowed GTA to run rampant, is because people thought, well, the rest is so much quality, why not throw a few bucks at it? It's not as big of a deal as a loot box. It's not as big of a deal as what happens in Overwatch or what happens with this DLC or Bethesda, but it is. It really, really is. The reason that Red Dead Online exists the way it does today, and it didn't back when Red Dead Redemption had its online mode, is because GTA Online created a path for every other game of this style. So how can you help? You cannot engage in this premium currency when this comes out of beta. And it will soon, because Rockstar's going to want to make their money and make it quick. This game is going to come out of its beta state, and it's going to ask for every dime you have. It doesn't matter what the single player is. It doesn't matter what the multiplayer is. It doesn't matter what any of it is or how high quality it is. It does not deserve more than the $60 you gave it. It doesn't. No cosmetic item, no gun, no camp, nothing deserves more than the $60 you already gave it. Period. Because that's what you should be paying for a game, is $60. I come back to it all the time. Red Dead Redemption single player mode was worth $60, and it could have been left at that. Maybe it should have been left at that, right? Spider-Man PS4 worth $60. Fallout 76 worth $20. Battlefield 5 at launch, missing half of the things that I wanted from it, not worth $60 at launch. We have to speak with our wallets, and I'm going to. I will not be engaging in the microtransaction market of Red Dead Online. It's the same thing that happened with Assassin's Creed when that launched. Let's not forget that, right? The reason Ubisoft felt like an XP booster was okay is because their numbers with Origins and those microtransactions were crazy, and their DLC numbers were crazy. People were buying them hand over fist. We cannot do that this time. So all I'm asking is to take a second look at that horse skin or that camp skin or that gun skin before you spend $5 on it, and ask yourself if you want to be spending $10 in GTA 6 to get the very same skin. The answer is going to be probably not. Well guys, that's kind of it for this video. I don't normally do these anymore, but I was in the middle of making one that I now have to scrap. I just thought that this was a better way to address this, a quicker way to address this, so that, you know, we could get this information out there and have a conversation about it. And that's what I want to do now. Now it's your turn. What do you guys think about what Red Dead Online is now? And I mean now with all of these changes. Do you think these changes will help? Do you think these changes matter? Do you think they'll do anything? And are you interested in Red Dead Online? What I'm surprised by is how many people aren't. How many people have already been turned off by its economy and the grabbing that it's already doing? Is that you? Or will you stick around and play as much Red Dead as you can over the next few months, and will you engage in those microtransactions? That's the most important question. And no shame. Let's not shame people in the comments if they say yes. I just want to know. We should be able to gauge as a community the way this is going to head. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you're not yet a member of this team, press subscribe. I put out gaming videos like this, gaming videos that are far more edited, gaming videos that are far more scripted, each and every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday sometimes, and sometimes those days shift, but it's usually 2 to 3 times a week, so hit subscribe so you do not miss any of those. As you can see, back in the studio, but I also want you guys to know, really quickly, that more content is going to be coming to the channel in kind of a diversity of content. So there's going to be not as many videos like this, but there's going to be different kinds of videos coming to the channel. They'll all be gaming videos, but there's going to be different kinds of ways of looking at these things. These deeper breakdowns, these segmented breakdowns that I do are great, but there's certain things that don't need them, like this. And there's also different ways to do things like this, ways that are more attractive to the eye instead of just staring at me for 10 minutes. So we're gonna do stuff like that moving forward too. There will be things, not necessarily Let's Plays, but very specific breakdowns of certain aspects of games that will just be the gameplay of that. But I'll explain more about that in the future. Let me know if you have any suggestions too, any content you'd like to see me make. If it's Let's Plays, if it's anything else, let me know down in the comments below. As always, guys, I will see you on Sunday with what I believe will be the first Smash video. There's going to be a lot of Nintendo content coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. Definitely some Smash content. So until then, guys, I'm out.